Greetings and salutations and welcome once again to the K Plus Crusaders live at the time from Empire Comics. I didn't even finish. I had
Took my shtick.
Empire's Comics Vault. My name is, of course, David Barry. I didn't do our name.
You didn't do your name
Plaid.
right at all.
Do it right now.
Here we go. I'm going to switch these. But my name is, there it is, David
right
Barry
there.
at
There
Dr. Barry on varying social media
right.
platforms.
Can they see
There's
this moving
men.
around?
Yeah, they
Of
can
course
see
they
these
can.
moving if they're live on Twitch right now.
Video right now.
That's who I am.
yeah,
I didn't know. I didn't
You're just like,
know.
I'm not Amy. That's all I
I'm
knew.
not Amy.
There, now we got these all set.
Now I feel
How
better.
about to my left?
Here we go.
We have
Sippin' McGaffin.
properly named.
My name is Manderson at Son of Mander on some social media. Figure it out. Just follow them, and they follow me, and you'll find me. To my left is not Amy, but who are you?
But I'm Minnie. I mean, sometimes to you guys, I am Minnie, one of that there lovely dames. You guys can find me at Dame Egg Sauce on that InstaSwam. And then over there is who?
One of the nominees for the Carol Burnett Award last night at the Golden Globes, the Azorian won Anthony Steves. I didn't win.
Oh.
Yeah, what is that?
So I'll explain right now. It was a shtick. Steve Carell. Okay, Steve Carell was presenting the first ever Carol Burnett Award, like the Cecil B. DeMille Award. It was going to Carol Burnett, but the way he did it was, and the nominees are Christian Bale, Charlize Theron, and he starts naming all these other actors. And then it shows Carol Burnett with her fingers crossed. It was a cute, funny moment because it was always meant to be her. It wasn't going to be anybody else.
That's fun.
But I'm going to win it in the future.
Ay, Dios mío. Anyway, there it is. We are your number one, allegedly, podcast, supposedly, for anything comic book related. So the depths of the comment sections argue about sometimes.
Sorry, what now?
Historically.
Yeah.
Comments.
The bottom half of the internet.
Comment. Oh.
Never go down there.
In the
Yeah,
archives.
you don't go down
The
there.
archives. Anyway, for anything related to the K Plus Crusaders, you can go to thekpluscrusaders.com. That is our hub, our home away from home on the internet. You can find all our social media accounts, our Twitch, our YouTube, support our Patreon, read a blog or two, and you can see,
We have a Patreon?
yeah,
Welcome to the show,
You guys should check that out.
I pitched it for a while.
Yeah, welcome to the show,
No,
pal.
was just
I still pitch
I
it.
was emphasizing. I know we have a Patreon.
it's a shtick.
It's a shtick. It's a
That's
shtick.
cute. You're right. We do have that.
Ba-dum,
my
ba-dum,
shtick.
ba-dum.
We have
Yeah.
shticks.
Anyway, yeah, we have the shtick. That being said, we are the K Plus Crusaders, and we are part of TCCN, the K Plus Crusader Network. We are a whole bunch of shows from our website. You can find all those shows. It is currently under a slight bit of revamping, but everything is still there. In the meantime, you can find things like Sunday Coffee with the Azorian one. You can find Crossover with Manderson and his brother Danderson. That's not a joke. And you can find the one, the only, the Dame
Dames.
Patrol.
Hot Dames.
Starring Minnie,
Hi.
Stephanie, and Amy, who is not here
No.
because she is got that con flu.
Just like that.
Yeah, just like that.
This recreation was brought to you by Conflict.
This disgusting recreation of vomiting was brought to you in part by our sponsors, Beard Bomb Brush.
Oh.
Beard Bomb Brush. Say, it's
Maybe
post.
not be responsible.
You got some vomit in your beard,
It's
baby.
yeah, you need to clean it out. So it's after the holidays, right? It's after the holidays. You're growing out your beard or your hair, or you've made a yarn beard to keep your face warm.
Yep.
You can take a Beard Bomb Brush, a wonderful new product. I just almost knocked all your stuff off the table.
The books are heavy. It'll be
They
fine.
take beeswax, they take beard balm and beard oil. They combine it into a Koopa shell that you will chuck at the first place driver of your face.
Yep.
Smoothing out, cleaning, giving your skin a silky, smooth feel, giving your beard this lusciousness. Yeah, what's up? You want to? Yeah.
It's so silky and
Can we do
smooth.
a science
Does it
experiment?
smell like sandalwood?
Stroke your beard.
smells
and
like
then
sandalwood.
Stroke his.
Oh God, what is that?
Yeah.
That feels like carpet.
Oh,
It
man.
is
Yep.
carpet.
Like not like good carpet. It feels like carpet that's been like stepped on for 10 years.
I glued it to my face.
Interesting.
That's what puberty is.
Just gluing carpet to your face. I'm a man.
I'm a man.
Anyway, our other sponsor, Empire's Comics Vault. Hey, our home away from home, not on the internet, in physical person, because
Yep.
they have comics. I totally forgot to mention, by the way, that you can go to Beard Bomb Brush and use our code KPLUS, get 15% off.
There it is. There's the
We
guy.
started comparing beards, and then I lost track.
Sorry, it's
I
my
lost.
fault.
Yeah.
But that's why you get the Koopa shell, so that you can win those comparisons.
15% off. Yeah. Anyway, you can also go to Empire's Comics Vault, our home away from home. They have comics, they have pugs, they have hot sauce, they have everything that you need to engage in nerddom.
Nerdum.
Yes. I completely blanked on Critical Dice. That's the other one.
Yep.
Cut, take two. Critical Dice.
All the sponsors.
It's right here.
What can you do with Critical Dice, Manderson?
You can roll them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
And hopefully roll a critical success, aka a natural 20.
Yeah.
Whilst making an attack against a dragon, let's say a black dragon.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Are you prepping us for next episode?
No.
Oh.
And cut off its head
Take notes.
in an epic finish that makes you feel so. Can I say the full B? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Badass.
Why'd you say that? Why did you say that?
Oh no. The
Gentlemen-
censors are coming for me.
Gentlemen,
And
are
that
you
was-
not feeling up to snuff? Are you having troubles in the
Whoa.
household? Critical Dice. Roll a natural 20. She'll thank you for it later.
Nice.
Anyway, code K-Plus gets you 15% off.
Am I watching late night cable news?
And
Yeah.
if she
Commercials right
doesn't, the blacksmith will.
There's always other options in the...
By the way, did we say where Empire Comics Vault is located?
No, because I'm off my game.
It's okay.
So incredibly hard. I even have the show notes up from the last episode.
okay.
Man, I'm the
There
Pippin
we
to your
go.
Jordan,
Here we
man.
go.
It's okay. Don't worry
Yeah,
about it.
that means you're short, right?
Scotty. Yeah.
That was your rock impersonation.
That's my Phil Jackson rock impersonation.
Oh, okay.
Scotty.
Okay.
That was also kind of Stone Cold.
With his huge arms.
That's what it is. Anyway, yeah, so you can come down Empire's Comics. They're located at 1120 Fulton Avenue. Sweet K.
That's why I brought it up. I want to do that.
Yeah, you just want to do that. You want to get all breathy on the
do.
microphone. Sweet K. I apologize to everyone. Who's
Especially
Apologize.
the
They're feeling
podcast.
great right now.
Yeah, so okay, so let me see if I got everything. We got our sponsors, Beard Bomb Brush, Empire's
Yep.
Comics,
Yep.
Critical Dice.
Uh-huh.
We talked about we are a network. We have his show, our show, your show, her show. James.
All the shows.
All the shows. Did I get everything?
You got them. Yeah,
Yeah.
I hit it.
shows and
We're good.
the people.
The net is working.
Can we can we talk about what we're talking about this week?
I think we're clear.
Okay, cool. On this week's episode,
Sweet K.
we're first going to go around the horn. We're going to talk about what comic books we've been reading this week. We're going to talk about the news. We're going to try to burn through it because I was writing it down, and there's a lot of it because we took a little bit of a break. We took a holiday break, and some of it we might just...
A lot happened.
All right, welcome back, guys.
Yeah, welcome
Yeah.
back. Oh, yeah, by the way, welcome back. Hope
First
you
of the
enjoyed
year.
your holidays. Squiggle, hello. This is your episode. We did it just for you.
It's all for
It's all
you, Squiggles.
All for love. Dun, dun. The Three Musketeers?
Yeah, we're going to talk about our main topic this week, which is getting back into comics. If you are a new fan or a returning fan, we're going to give you some basics of how you can get into comics. Like I said, whether you're new or returning, we're going to give you some basics
Returning.
to help you. Yeah,
Why'd you leave?
exactly. That's the really important thing. Sergeant Squiggles just subscribed with Twitch Prime.
Fun intro.
Hey, Sergeant Squiggles.
Hey.
It's because this is his episode.
That's why.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'll take it.
So, when we are the entire network here, well, he's represented, when we are surrounded by comic books, when we are trying to get back into the swing of things because it's 2019 and it's already beaten us down into the ground, we like to go round the horn.
We gonna get back in them comic books, okay? Get them on show in too.
That was a super angry,
was,
like Duke
He's
boys.
upset because the comics have been gone and now they're back.
Boss Hog going after them boys again. They then stole them Batman comics.
Just the Batmobile.
It's like, oh, it's just painted orange with a Confederate flag on it, I guess. Anyway, when we go around the horn, we go around a table and talk about. Take two. We go around the horn, we go around the table in circular fashion, except for the fact that we no longer have a circular table. It is not a thing.
Been a long time.
It's been a long time, and even then,
Shouldn't left you.
It had
It's a
the
square.
it had the flaps down. So
Got
it
a
was just-
dope beat to step two.
What?
Step two. Step
Step
two.
two.
Step
Step
two.
two.
Step two. Step two. Copyright.
Wow. Knock, knock. Open up the door. It's real. Yeah. Non-stop pop and stainless steel. We talk about what comic books we've been reading this week. Steve's.
Yes.
Start us off, my friend. What comics did you read? Don't disappoint me.
Well,
It's 2019. Turn a new leaf.
a friend of mine got me a gift.
His friends. I'm so proud.
That friend of mine
Besides
is
us?
to my left.
Oh, it was me.
Oh,
Well,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
We were close. Baby steps. He's reading.
Hi.
Yeah, thanks.
I started.
Yeah.
Batman False Faces.
Oh, hey!
Hey!
That's the BKV.
The BKV, Brian K. Vaughan. The bookmarker is the napkin from lunch today. That's what that is. Yeah.
So clearly you started reading it today.
Yes.
How
But I
is
read it.
How is it?
It's good. It's good. Well, I mean, the Batman arrives at a not very friendly bar with some questionable gentlemen.
Ooh.
And they're like, all of them are there, but they're not doing anything as Batman is starting to interrogate Matches Malone, I believe his name is. And
Good mafia name.
one guy's like, "What are you guys doing?" It's just, it's this guy in a cape. And he goes to get up and he pulls a gun and puts it in Batman's head. And, well, you know what happens? Batman pretty much broke his arm.
I haven't read it.
He broke his arm. Broke his arm, knocked him off the
Spoilers.
table. Yeah. And the guy, Batman's trying to find out some information. Guy won't tell him. Guy spits in Batman's face. Batman throws him through a window.
Yeah, it's
Nope.
bad.
Leaves, says, "I want information," what have you. And it turns out this bar is owned by the ventriloquist. Remember the
yeah,
dummy?
yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
dummy.
Yeah. Nice.
And that's where I left off.
I like when they bring up the C-listers, the rogues gallery that you're not too.
He's
Well,
B at least.
No, he's definitely a C.
I feel like he was in animated series a lot.
When he was in the animated series,
Oh, yeah.
I guess
Yeah.
I call him B.
Yeah. All right.
Well, it's funny because as he's talking, like when he refers to the bat, he says the gat. And the Malone is like, why does he keep saying G's when it should be B's? They're pointing out that the ventriloquist is talking without his mouth moving. He can't say B letters. He says G instead. So I thought that was funny because it's him sitting there trying to do the voices. And I thought that was pretty
I like that.
humorous there. But yes, that's where I've left off. But we find out that the ventriloquist wants to know what this Matches Malone knows before the bat does.
I'm proud of you for reading.
Hey, man, I'm doing it. New year.
Sure, I had to buy it for you.
New year, new me.
Yeah, new you, man. you do you, boo.
Back to that 2015 Azorian one. Anyway.
Yeah. How about we lob it all the way over?
Oh man.
Ugh. Mini.
Okay.
Yeah,
Got
that
it.
is.
She
All
caught
right,
it.
I got it. Good.
Nerds.
Good. It was a good crossover, you guys.
It's a good crossover. Reference.
Breaking ankles.
Hey.
What did you read this week?
Gosh, I actually finally got the second trade to follow up the lovely Sub Diego trade. Actually, I got that for Christmas. But I got Servant Protect. So we are seeing Aquaman with his cool aqua hand. This is before he had the hook. So he had the magic hand cut off, and now he has
Ready?
cool Atlantean water that makes a glass hand.
I'm gonna
So
look
now,
I'm gonna look at you real quick, Minnie. Permission to come aboard.
Oh God.
oh man, you needed some more berries locks for it, but
and
it
less
worked.
shirt.
Yeah.
I know, less
Yep.
shirt. I know.
Yep. But it's such a good read. It's definitely more of his honor code, and you're getting Lorena. You're actually getting his new Aqua Girl, which
Nice.
he hasn't had in a while. So that's very cool. But you're seeing Arthur not wanting to be a king, but being forced to take over the fact that he loves Sub Diego so much.
Diego.
He loves that little
It's the
little
tacos.
weird city
the
so
tacos.
much
That's why I
that
like
he's
San
dealing with all these crime lords because people are down there, but so are crime lords, and they're trying to figure out how to be the big fish in that their pond.
Discovered by the Germans in 1910, they named it Sub Diego, which means a whale's.
Okay. Who's writing at that? Who's writing off?
It's Ron
that
Burgundy.
point?
Oh God.
That wasn't John's.
No, that wasn't
okay.
John's.
I
That was
couldn't
a
remember.
while ago. It was in 2002, actually.
Oh yeah. This is prior.
This is prior to them
is like-
throwing out like any of the pre-New 52 stuff.
where this is before he becomes the dweller in the
This
depths.
is before he comes dwell in the depths. Yep.
Before he becomes Cthulhu Light.
Yep.
Dweller of the depths.
Yeah, that was fun. That was
Yeah.
weird.
It was fun, weird stuff.
What face was what?
After you said Cthulhu like you did a face, what is that?
I don't know.
No. But it's cool because you actually get more Martian Manhunter as well.
Nice.
Martian Manhunter is the only other person
John
that he
Jones.
really talks to other than Batman occasionally.
I like that. I'm gonna have to check that out.
It's
So
very nice.
That's post Sub Diego, right?
Yep.
Sub Diego's the first. Got it. Nice. Manderson,
Anderson.
what did you read, my friend?
What was refreshing to you?
That's it. All right.
Silence.
So,
Silence.
go back with me.
Ah.
About 5 days to last Wednesday.
Oh,
I come into the comic shop and buy my books from Ben,
Ben.
and he slips a little something in there.
Oh man.
something.
Oh.
a 20.
And I'm flipping through. I'm like, oh, what's this?
Is it a
I didn't-
pug?
I didn't buy this. It was not a pug.
You just sent a pug on with
I
you.
didn't buy
Sauce?
this, but it was a image comic, and it looked interesting. It was called The Freeze, and it basically the cover is a blue hand on like an arm, and it has the EKG thing, and
Yeah.
then it just goes that turns blue, and it goes flatlined. Like, this looks interesting, so I open it up and start reading it. And it is interesting. It's not like the greatest comic I've ever read, but basically it starts with what looks like some Marines or something like that going into what looks like a hospital in the middle of the desert. So I'm assuming like, oh, this takes place like in Afghanistan or in the Middle East, someplace where Marines are doing things. And somebody's like, hey, you got some bad dudes coming your way. You better get out of there quick. I'm leaving without you in 3 minutes. And they go and they touch somebody.
I'm getting anxious.
Okay. And the person, everybody's frozen except for the soldiers. They touch the person, and she becomes unfrozen. And she's like, what the hell is going on?
Oh, it's tag.
What
It's a
is
giant
that?
game of freeze tag.
Who
Oh
are
my
you?
God.
And they grab her and they get in the helicopter, and she's like, what's happening? Who are you? Why am I here? And
Look
he goes,
left.
it's a long story. And then it goes back to like 5 years before where nothing is frozen. And it's the same guy. He gets out of bed. He goes around work. And then he goes into work, and his boss is like, my computer's not working. And he goes in and is like, did you plug it in? And the boss hadn't plugged it in. It's the first thing you check every time.
What a nerd.
And he plugs it in, and he gets a little shock. And when he comes back up, everybody is frozen.
Oh, the computer did it.
Except for him. And he's like freaking out, and he trips over somebody and touches another person, and they become unfrozen. And he figures out when he touches people, they become unfrozen. And
This is
initially,
such a strange concept.
it's like I said, it's an interesting. I feel like it takes things from a lot of other stories that I've read, but it's interesting enough to like I'm gonna keep going. The last panel is they're like driving through the street, and one of them goes, "What the hell is that?" And they get out of the car and they look over, and there's just a plane plowed into a building in pieces on fire, and that's the first time you realize this is not just in the city, it's everywhere, and there are like millions of people dying because planes are crashing and people are getting hit by cars because
They're all frozen.
They're all frozen.
It was really interesting. I might have to actually buy the rest of it. I don't know how far it is because it was just issue number 1. He slipped it in there. The freeze.
I remember hearing about that. I think it's
So-
a newer book.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it might be maybe 1 or 2 issues, and I should have looked that
And
up. but I'm
either
gonna keep reading it.
either Ben was like, I enjoyed this, I think you would enjoy it, or this isn't selling, I'll give
Take
you a
this.
copy.
Yeah.
Depends how.
Either
was-
way, next Netflix
It's, I
movie.
feel like Ben always gives me good stuff.
I love
whenever
when
he
Ben,
does that, so-
whenever he's like, hey,
Sneaks something in.
Sneaks in.
Check
You're gonna
this
like
out.
This.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give it a read.
So
It clearly is an allegory for how technology is ruining today's youth.
Youths.
anyway, David, I read more, but I want to highlight that. What'd you read?
You
read all of that.
If you follow, actually, you'd be
Okay, because
He read the entire shop.
74% of that. So if you follow Empire's Comics on Facebook, which you should, Ben recently posted about a new publisher called TKO Publishing. So I had heard about TKO through Twitter. And TKO is a new publisher. They're calling themselves the first modern publisher. In that they are not tied to Diamond at all. Diamond is the supplier of comics to the majority of comic book stores.
Yeesh.
Yeah, a superpower that needs to be whittled, but no one goes after monopolies anymore. They don't care. Corporations own everything. We're all gonna die.
And now they'll never sponsor us.
That is
comic
true, we are
books.
all going to-
Comic books. So TKO is creator owned by writers, artists. It's all creator owned books. And the difference with the way they're doing their books now, they don't release them monthly. They release them binge style. So they release the entire season like they would release a show on Netflix. Nice. So when they came out with their first books, all 6 issues of the arc dropped. And it was available in 3 formats: digital, individual issues that came in a collector's box, so it could go up on your shelf. Yeah, I like
Okay.
that.
What's in the box?
And then comics.
Okay.
Yeah, not a
Gwyneth Paltrow.
not a severed head.
Oh.
I mean, so I don't know. I haven't gotten mine yet. It could be a severed head.
So I took her pretty
and then a trade. So you can get it in 3 different formats. The issue number 1 of the first 4 books, all 4 books, issue number 1 is available to read online for free on their website.
Oh.
And so I had asked Ben about it. I said, hey, you're going to start carrying this? And he hadn't heard about them yet. So he reached out to them because they're not through Diamond, and he's going to be stocking their books now.
Yeah.
So they started with 4 titles: 7 Deadly Sins, Sarah, The Fearsome Dr. Fang, and then I didn't read the 4th one, and I can't remember the top of my head, and I'm really sorry. But they are coming out with heavy hitters, like Jeff, depending how you pronounce his last name, Lemire is writing a book. Warren Ellis is writing a book. Roxanne Gay is writing a book. Like, they're going all out. They're bringing in heavy hitters as far as artists and writers are concerned. So I read the number 1s of 7 Deadly Sins, Sarah, and Fearsome Dr. Fang. Super cool. Very different from anything else that's out there. Sarah is about female Russian snipers in World War II that are basically pinned down as the Nazis are advancing. And it follows, I'm assuming, the titular character Sarah, who is Deadeye sniper who's been taking out Nazi colonels. It's awesome.
My favorite thing.
The best. Next to punching them, sniping them is my favorite hobby. Seven Deadly Sins, which is a Western style, super gory, following. There's a war band of Native Americans who is hitting these small settlements, but someone realizes they're not Native Americans. They're actually white men dressed as Native Americans.
Oh God.
Yeah, and I'm like, so you're like, what's happening here? But then they have one Native American with them, and so, but it's only issue 1. And you're like, now I'm like, I'm interested. I want to know what's happening with this story. And then The Fearsome Dr. Fang is a super like pulpy detective comic set in 1930s San Francisco, where these 2 agents are chasing the fearsome Dr. Fang, who's an art thief, and turns out he's actually a secret agent himself, trying to stop other art thieves from using these artifacts for evil. And it's that's actually written by the owner of TKO, who wrote Gotham. He wrote a couple episodes of Gotham, which made me kind of leery. And then I started reading the book. I'm like, no, you're cool. It's just Gotham that sucks. So TKO, brand new, super cool. You can check out the number 1s online. You can have your local comic book store like Empire is going to start stocking them. Like I said, you can order trades, digital, or the collected box sets. So
Are they? Is Ben going to have just the trades here, or is he going to have the box sets too?
I'm not sure how he's going to initially do it. He did put it out there on Facebook that you can reach out and let him know if you're interested in any of them, so he can know how much to order. Ben's one of those, like, his shop is great because he always gives any indie a chance, and he tries to at least stock a little bit of everything, unless it has zero interest, and then he's like, well, I can't feasibly do this anymore. But he tries to get every indie out there, so he's going to try to keep a bunch of their stuff on hand, and hopefully that can keep that trend can keep going, because the big thing that I really like about it is that it's not tied to Diamond, because Diamond is obscene, just ridiculous. I mean, I love the comics, but you're an awful corporation. I'm sorry. So, that being said, how about some news? It's obscenely quiet.
This just in: Sub Diego underwater.
But my dog.
Oh God!
And now the sports.
More at 11.
Over? No.
So we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna try to quickly burn through just because there's so many. So first off, for you wrestling fans, Kenny Omega at Wrestle Kingdom 13 at the Tokyo Dome in front of a sold-out crowd lost the IWGP Heavyweight Championship to Tanahashi. It was insane. Boom. It was great. He's leaving New Japan Pro Wrestling to join All Elite Wrestling, which is being started by by Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks.
So that's where he's going.
Yeah,
nice.
He's going. Yeah, they're all going. Anyway,
I like that. That was a good story.
Yeah.
Good,
man.
Good lead-in.
We should start a wrestling podcast.
I do
Mike.
like the wrestling. My favorite wrestler
Where's
is
Mike?
China.
Mike Moore.
That could be your show.
She needs to be into the Hall of Fame already.
Don't treat me
Yes,
like a woman.
100%.
The fact.
Don't treat me like a man.
The fact that they see her, like, her post wrestling decisions, which are her own and have no bearing on it, and they're whatever.
To do with the company, and then they're snubbing her regardless.
Yeah, and it was all consensual and everything. She's still great. Anyway, so last night, Golden Globes. Well, I mean, last night if you're watching live, a couple nights ago if you're listening on the podcast app, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse won Golden Globe for Best Animated Feature, which totally deserving. It was perfect. Yeah. I loved that movie. And some Marvel fans are upset. Black Panther snubbed at the. Do we want to call it snub? I don't like calling it. I don't think it's snub. I think that suggests that they really were super deserving. Not that it wasn't a great movie.
You got nominated. I mean, it got 4 nominations.
Nominated for a drama.
Yeah,
they got nominated for a category that doesn't make any sense.
That's a win
because there isn't like an action. Like it's dramatic, but
I mean, it was an uphill battle who it was going against. Yeah. You had A Star Is Born. You had Bohemian Rhapsody.
You had dramas.
Black Klansman. You had these great films that the fact that it got nominated with those films is outstanding. Yeah. I thought it was going to take the score. I thought it would take musical score. Because I saw Gaga winning for the song.
Yeah.
But I thought it was going to take score. But again, you got nominated among. I mean, that's the win. That doesn't mean you could probably get nominated again in the Oscars because you got nominated at the Golden Globes. It's going to happen.
I'm just.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Stop talking.
Oh, hang on. I'll be Bucky.
There it is. But you took the Bucky. Nice. Good job. White Wolf.
You were gonna say something.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, I was gonna say, just leading into that, it's just a fantastic nod that it was actually nominated for one. But everyone on that board, regardless if it deserved it, it's still, they're just seeing it as an action superhero flick, and that's it. That's all they're gonna see it as. They're not seeing superhero films as an art form, unfortunately. And that's where we're heading now. We've got Into the Spider-Verse. We had Black Panther. They're heading into an art form. It's not just popcorn movies anymore.
Right. Yeah.
So something that that their film bigwigs are going to have to understand.
It'll take time. It'll take time.
We'll get there. I don't think the bubble bursts before it'll.
No.
Just like if there had been, if there this much focus on award shows back in the day, I think Westerns did win them, but I think Westerns overall would have been.
But it also took a while for
It
Westerns
took
to
a
win
while.
them, too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So we'll get there.
It took a while for the wagon wheel to go uphill.
Like a wagon wheel.
Okay, cool. Speaking of movie news, Todd McFarlane said this about the Spawn movie.
Yeah.
Quote, there are no fun lines, just dark, ugly 2 hours.
Look what I'm doing. See this?
Which
See?
I'm like, okay, but it might be like a little part of me, a little boy who started collecting Spawn comics in the 90s was like, I want a little bit of, there was some humor. He's a clown.
See this?
But Spawny, he's our man. If he can't do it, no one can. Like, come on.
Look what I'm doing. Not in Spawn.
Yeah,
That's not happening.
No humor.
Nope.
But I which bums me out, but we'll see what happens. If you got any DC Comics this month, you saw a wonderfully touching tribute to Stan the Manly in the front cover, as they referred to him as their competition, but it was a very heartfelt and touching in memoriam to Stan Lee. Like I said, I'm just trying to burn through these because I wrote around way too many of them. Hey, to upset fanboys.
What?
Oh, my favorite.
I mean, they
thing.
didn't do
The
this
salt,
to.
I watched it had a cup that said like fanboy tears.
Let me pause my video.
To upset the fanboys, but it upset the fanboys.
Let me pause my game.
Yeah, pause your game.
What?
So a new Overwatch short story. For those who play Overwatch, the game is primarily multiplayer, and the story is told through cutscenes and short stories released on the internet.
I know the game, podcast boy. Tell me the news.
Oh yeah, a short story confirmed that a major character, aka Soldier 76, is in fact gay.
How dare you?
Yeah, there it is. Yeah. Yeah, his visor will not only target heterosexual characters like Torbjorn.
Get on my blog.
Yeah, exactly. Type it out.
Kermit the Frog typing.
Yeah, angry. So basically, if you're playing Overwatch, just turn off, unless you're playing with friends, just turn off the voice chat for the next couple weeks until they can all just get out their expletives and then go back.
This is how I get us famous. The hatred of video gamers toward me right now. That just happened.
Yeah, this guy who hasn't played a game since Arkham Knight.
That's me.
Was there anything good out since then?
Nah, not really. No, just Arkham Knight. Real fast, Squiggles is John Leguizamo coming back. He is not. Thus, we can't have any good clown humor.
Yeah, no.
By the way, his show on Netflix, fantastic. That's what the one man show he did, the Latin History for Morons.
Yep.
Oh, cool.
Outstanding.
I haven't checked it out. I'll have to check it out. John's great. Any thoughts on Soldier 76?
I'm done typing.
No.
I think it's great. He's not a stereotype at all for what a lot of people tend to write gay characters as. DC, I'm looking at you. God damn it.
Not wrong at all.
Okay.
Silent judging.
Yep. But yeah, Blizzard, I'm excited that they're announcing characters that are gay or queer or hopefully bi, hopefully Farah. But he's not a stereotype, which is my favorite part of it. I hope they don't go too overboard with their lack of story content.
Right.
In that they go J.K. Rowling with how they're revealing this. And
Right.
and by the way, they all poop at Overwatch. Like, okay, cool.
No
Thanks.
way.
Bob, the bandwidth isn't fast enough. I'm done typing about 76. Bob!
You got that angry nerd boy down.
And Bob is also in the game as well. So
there
good
you
job.
Is Bob gay? Did they make the robot gay?
Oh, no! Come on!
I mean, yeah, he's robosexual. Come on, guys.
Oh, no! Making up names now.
Anyway, awesome. In other news, fun little factoid. Begun again, the fanboy wars have.
Oh.
As Marvel, via their Star Wars comics, revealed a theory that a lot of Star Wars fans have had for a long time. They revealed, in fact, who Anakin's father actually is.
What?
No, I'm kidding.
So a lot of us thought, I mean, I don't say us, like I read it online. I wasn't like, can come up with this theory on my own. Like
You don't have like the string and the push pin.
the red, and I'm just like,
he was Charlie Day, just doing the whole thing.
So basically what they confirmed was that a lot of people's theory was that Anakin didn't actually have a father, but instead he was conceived through the Force. And of course we heard Darth Sidious, Emperor Palpatine, talk about how his master had taught him how to master life and death. And so through that, we were like, oh, Sidious used the Force to create him to fulfill the prophecy. And that was confirmed. That was actually accurate. That Vader, by breaking, basically stopping this rift between our universe and another universe and the Force just bleeding through, he saw all these past events, and he saw that Sidious basically created him through the Force. Whether you like it or not, I mean, I know people that don't like that theory and do like that theory. It's now canon that is the way it is. So
now what?
So the Skywalkers do everything. Okay, cool.
yeah, basically.
Yeah.
There's no other important people in that entire universe except for the Skywalkers.
That's it.
Awesome.
Apparently, now this is not actually this hasn't actually been confirmed, but DC is supposedly working on a standalone Long Halloween animated film.
Yes!
Which I put that in there for you.
Thank you.
I think that could be cool.
Yes. Yes.
Ruru says Anakin's father was Space Pixies. Apparently they just, woo.
If you haven't read The Long Halloween, go back and watch the crossover episode, part 1, and tune in a couple weeks for part 2 of The Long Halloween.
There you go.
It is long.
And it's Halloween.
And it's Halloween.
Yes.
Scary.
The inspiration to the Dark Knight film.
There we go. This is actually a really fun one. So we had mentioned, Stephanie actually brought up on the Best and Worst of 2018 episode about the McElroy family and Adventure Zone.
Yeah.
So Adventure Zone, that family, the brothers and the dad who play Dungeons and Dragons, or do they play Pathfinder?
They play
It's Dungeons and Dragons.
Dungeons
They started
and
with the Phandalin Adventure.
Okay, cool. They've actually been tapped by Marvel to write a 5-issue arc. Now, it is going to be with a veteran writer, but they're reviving Journey into Mystery, and it's going to be part of the War of the Realms event that we have ramping up in the Thor comics.
Ooh.
So is it going to be actually like Journey into Mystery Thor issues, or is it going to be like they're trying to redo the Sif stuff?
So I think it's the way they haven't released too many details, but it has something to do with the fact that Earth is under siege, and it focused on a team. Like they mentioned a team, and I was like, okay, the team. It sounded like it was like Miss Marvel, and I think it might have been Miles Morales, Spider-Man. Kind of sounded like sort of like Champions, and I'm not sure if that's who's actually going to be in it, or if that is going to be, like you said, Thor, Sif kind of a thing. It's only going to be 5 issues, so they're not trying to revive that 600-issue arc of Journey into Mystery. So we'll see how it goes. I think it's cool that they tap them for it because they're great storytellers. I think it could be a lot of fun. Tom King responded to apparently people on Twitter saying that he didn't serve in the CIA. He then showed pictures of him in Iraq with a machine gun, and he's like, I served at the CIA. Apparently that was a question.
Case closed.
Yeah, moving on. And Mattel. After I think it's the 3rd year in a row that Mattel has suffered.
Goofed.
Yeah, they've lost a lot of revenue, and they have now lost many of its DC comic toy licenses. So
on
Mattel,
accident, or
no? They basically lapsed.
Yeah.
They lapsed because they just can't. I think they only kept the rights to really young kids toys.
Yeah.
They didn't all the teenage boys and girls stuff.
The DC superhero girls stuff for little.
Is the Mattel?
I don't know who makes them.
Spin. I'm blanking on the Spin.
Yeah.
The other toy company that's like one of Mattel's biggest rivals. They got all the rights. So we'll see what happens.
I'm picturing all these times that the same employee in charge of keeping the contracts going. Yeah. I forgot again. Lost some more DC characters.
Exactly how it happened. It was a bumbling idiot buffoon.
He's my nephew. No,
Yeah.
the CEO.
Got it. You were writing a whole story over there. You're just going off. You're writing a little short blurb. It's going to be on YouTube. Green Arrow is going to end with issue 50.
Aww.
Which is interesting because Green Arrow's been super big in a lot of the DC stuff. And so I think it's probably going to be a relaunch, tying him into something else. Because I think he's the one, doesn't he currently have the weapon that can be used to stop the rest of the Justice League? Or am I thinking of someone else?
I haven't been reading it.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Steve's?
Yeah, it's been a while since I read Green Arrow.
Oh, okay.
Cool. We're a comic book podcast.
I thought he was one of your favorite characters, is Steve's.
Yeah, when I was reading a lot of them. Manderson.
Anyway, last 2 things. One, DC has canceled another one of its new Age of DC Heroes series. So it came out with all those books. Sideways has already been canceled, and now Curse of Brimstone has been canceled, which was just, I'm going to be honest, DC was just kind of like, hey, here's 10 new books, and I don't think many of them have really stuck.
No.
And they all came out of metal somehow, but I don't remember.
Dude, metal was cool, but made no sense at all. I went back and tried to reread it, and I'm like, now Scott, friend of the show, follows us on Twitter. I liked your stuff, but it didn't make any sense. Like, the tie-in, I'm just like, there's people now.
Cool.
Oh,
Yeah.
Ruru has the answer to what Greenor has.
Yeah,
he has the Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah.
Yep.
And lastly, Kevin Feige revealed that supposedly all of the Avengers Endgame trailers will not spoil anything past the first 20 minutes of the movie. Now, if that's the case, I love that because I'm sick of it being like, oh, we got everything from the trailer. But
So we may not see Captain Marvel in any of those trailers.
Correct.
Unless she shows up super early.
correct.
Because they fooled you with the last one where they showed Hulk running with them all, and there was no Hulk
Yeah.
there.
And then he was not
Yeah.
actually.
Unless that's a scene in this. Back in
Could
time.
be timey-wimey thing.
Yep.
Timey
Timey-wimey.
Yeah.
Gotta go back in time.
So we'll see what happens.
Was that a back?
Yeah, it was. Part 2.
Jesus.
It's a great trilogy.
Huey Lewis in the news.
Was that before or after the train?
That's before the train.
Before the train.
Yes. Part 3, it was a train.
Anyway, yeah, Ruru, you heard that Sony stopped showing your entire movie. Yeah, that's basically what it is. So on to our main topic. God, that was a lot of news. Woo! Let's never take a break ever again.
Okay.
Never. No more holidays.
I'm gonna
Ever.
somebody clip that,
Oh,
save it, and then
dang
tweet it
Look
at
what's
him
happened.
next December.
Look what's happened. Let's delete the tweet.
I mean, as long as the episode doesn't fall on the Monday that is Christmas Eve / my daughter's birthday, I think we're okay. That was oddly specific.
Is it Christmas on Monday night this year?
Christmas Eve
Christmas Eve.
was on a Monday.
Yeah.
That was 2018. We're in 2019.
I don't even know anymore, man. I haven't looked at a calendar yet.
It'll be on a
I'm still
Wednesday.
writing 2018 on everything.
Be Christmas Eve would be
That guy.
Tuesday then.
It will be on a Tuesday, so
Yeah.
we're fine.
On a
Alright.
Tuesday.
Great.
I thought you were gonna do Solomon Grundy, but you wouldn't go on up.
It's gonna be Taco Tuesday, except on a Friday. Okay, guys.
I'm down with all
Red
of
and
those
green
things.
sprinkles.
Our main topic for the evening: getting back into comics.
Random.
Random, right?
Weird.
A few months ago, a friend of the show
More like
in the
4
chat,
years ago.
Sergeant Squiggles, basically asked, "Hey, where would be a good spot for me to jump back into comics? I haven't read in a while."
Right over there.
Yeah, exactly. And when I'm going to be honest, when you walk into a comic book store, you might have an experience much like Manderson when he first started trying to get into comics.
Yeah.
Manderson, tell us your story.
Yeah. So I was interested in comics from a super young age. My parents randomly bought me a Superman comic that was in one of those magazine racks at a grocery store, which they don't do anymore.
By the Archies?
Which probably I don't know. I don't remember.
Simpsons.
And I read it. I loved it. I think I read it till it fell apart because I only had that one. As I got older and I got a job, I was like, I want to buy and read more comics. And so I walked into the first comic book store that I saw, and it was like overpacked with comics, and it was dark, and I didn't know where to start.
Did it smell like brown?
And it was just a weird place to be. And I walked up to the counter and I'm like, I want to ask, where do I start? But I was too afraid to ask because they kind of look like they know their stuff. They had the big glasses and like.
Did he have a ponytail?
I kind of got, yeah.
Was he looking down on you?
Yeah.
Was everyone yellow skinned?
Everybody was yellow
Were you
skinned.
in
Yes.
The Simpsons?
Worst customer
Oh, this
ever.
is a Simpsons episode. Oh, shoot. Anyway, so I went through this multiple times. Would find a different one. Maybe it'll be different. And eventually, like, okay, I want to get into comics. Where do I start? I like Superman because that's all I really read and knew at that point. I was like, oh, which run of Superman do you want? What? I don't understand what you're saying. What's a run? And it was kind of like at
Superman.
that point, like
Here.
I'm just gonna go look. And I walked in the comic book shop and then I walked out. And like,
Man,
when
it was
you-
like blue and red, S in chest.
yeah,
You know who he is?
That's what I want. But like when you try to get into comics, if you've never been into them before, there's terms like run and trades and like you got single issues, you got story arcs. Like some of these terms you may be familiar with, but some of them I had no idea.
That was
what
me
they
4
were.
years ago.
Yeah, and so like unfortunately I turned to Amazon and like Barnes and Noble to just go buy the collected stuff, which I didn't know were called trades. They're just a bunch of issues together, which I feel like kind of is cheating the comic book industry a little bit, in my opinion. And thankfully, by tuning into the Crusaders back in the day, they got me into comics. Like they kind of got me over that hump because it was a friend that got me into it.
You were a fan before you
friends-
became a member.
I was a fan before I became a member. And the recommendations that David and Steves and the crew back then made got me into comics, both indie and DC and Marvel, which I was not a Marvel guy.
Neither was I.
Barry got me into Marvel. And then when I came into Empires for the first time,
They said get out.
no, I was like,
No,
hey,
okay.
I know the Crusaders. I like this stuff. What should I read? And Ben was like so nice and kind of pointed some stuff out.
Name dropped us.
And yeah, I did. Hardcore. But so like I eventually got there, and I regret that I didn't get into it when I was younger because I missed a lot of stuff. And so if you're like me years ago and you're trying to figure out comics, don't be afraid to get into it. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Just ask the right questions and ask the right people. If you have friends that are in the comics, ask them what they read, what they like. If they know you well enough, they'll be able to say, you'll like this, this, and this, and check this out. If you don't like capes, you don't like superheroes, there's tons of indie stuff out there. If you're afraid of the indie stuff, don't be afraid to dive into Marvel and DC just because indie stuff seems to be the cool thing and that you know what you like. You know comics because you're reading indie. If you don't have any friends into comic books, come into Empires.
You don't have any friends? That's okay too.
If you're not near Empires, our social media handles are below our faces right now. Just hit us up, tell us what you like, and we'll make some recommendations. Get into it. It's great. Let's dive in to the topic.
Manderson 2020.
That's it. You covered it, man. We're gonna cancel. We're gonna go live.
Well.
And I think what Manderson hit on a really important thing there. I know a lot of times, like, this is not a slap in the face of Manderson. This is not trying to be rude towards Manderson. Manderson looks like the type of guy who would know comics. Normally he's wearing glasses. He wears, he wears more Superman shirts now, but he had Superman shirts. Skinny guy. I'm gonna say you're a skinny white nerdy dude.
Yep.
And people would see you.
But I could deadlift 250 pounds.
And just like a guy, he wants to let you know how much he can lift.
Hey, bro, how much you lift?
There it is.
Yep.
Come on, brah. How much do you deadlift,
Like
brah?
you told us earlier, you're like, I'm gonna send you that transcript when I get back from the gym, and I'm like, all right, dude.
He flexed as he typed that.
I broke my phone.
But even Manderson, being what people would stereotype as a comic book fan, he felt intimidated because comic book stores can be intimidating places. Imagine how you would feel if you weren't someone who looked like they should know comics, quote unquote, based on societal standards.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. A lot of what you said is definitely a lot of the experiences that myself and some of the dames definitely had. A lot of ladies have a lot of this issues.
Amy works here and she has that
works
issue. When
here
people
and
walk
she still
in.
has that issue, or people walk in and I've been here reading something and they'll walk out or won't take her seriously or ask where whoever is working is, and she's sitting behind the counter. Like,
Are you the girlfriend?
yeah, essentially.
Where's your
I've walked into
boyfriend
comic
at?
book stores that will, and I wear comic shops. I wear comic stuff now. Like, I know my stuff, and I walk in and they won't acknowledge me. Mm-hmm. Or if I ask for something, I don't generally shop anywhere but Empires.
Yeah.
But if Ben doesn't have something, I will occasionally peruse other places. And they'll try to grill you on it, which is not how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be able to enjoy fun stuff. So, yeah, definitely like Manderson said, if you have friends that you're not sure how to recommend things to them, definitely give them our handles. Myself, any of these guys.
The dames.
All the
We're
dames.
all
There's
great.
so many of us here at the network.
On that note, we're going to start with new fans. So getting into comics for the first time. Say you saw a movie in the last 10 years that you really enjoyed and you wanted to know more about it. I am of the mindset, if you saw Into the Spider-Verse and you connected with Miles Morales, with chubby Peter Parker like I did, Gwen Stacy, and you went out and the next week you bought a Miles Morales costume or a Gwen Stacy costume and you went to a convention and you cosplayed as that, that's you're in.
You're a comic fan.
You're a
now.
fan. You're in. You're a fan, and there are gonna be people who are going to have expectations of you, and that's gonna suck. And I apologize in advance for every nerd who thinks you don't have enough cred to enjoy that thing. If you don't want to read comics and you just want to watch comic book movies, that's okay. That's totally fine. I will even say, Manderson and I talked about this. There have been times where I have, without meaning to, or just because of who I was back then, is the past tense gate kept?
Sure.
I have gate kept.
Yeah.
I have kept the gate in some ways, basically saying, oh, you're not a real fan. You're not big enough of a nerd. You haven't read enough. And that mindset is so beyond ignorant and ridiculous. And upsetting to fans, and it gives us all a bad name. So
it's almost contrary to what, like when comics first started, contrary to what it was meant to be.
Yeah.
Too. There wasn't supposed to be this comic book subculture. I mean, it was a subculture, but that was never its intent.
Yeah.
And now we are finally gaining some recognition and notoriety. Is like, oh, it's not just for kids anymore; it's for everybody. And look at all these great stories.
it's for everyone, every age,
Everybody.
every gender, every race.
Belief system.
All of them. Jesus is going to be a superhero
for
DC
shit.
recently here pretty soon.
Yeah.
Did you hear about this?
No.
Yeah.
I want to know what you think.
Yeah. Jesus is a Superman.
Jesus Cristo.
And on that note, I know sometimes I will admit a lot of my gatekeeping came from when comics became cool and people that were cool when I was younger started getting into them. I was like, no, this was my thing. This is how I got away from you. This is how I spent my days. And now you think it's cool. And it took a while to get out of that mindset for myself. So I understand. Honestly, I hate to say that I understand the other side, but sometimes I don't understand. I was there. I don't think it's right anymore. You can come over too.
Yep.
You can leave Comicsgate behind. Open arms. I will hug you unless you've done other bad stuff.
I won't
Yeah.
hug you, but that's because
Manderson doesn't touch
I
people.
don't
Yes,
like
it doesn't
physical
do that.
contact.
Yeah.
So that's actually a really good starting point is I want to go, everyone just say how, like when you were a new fan, we kind of got Manderson's story. How did you get into comics? Like what was your introduction? Because I feel like we all have very different experiences. Minnie, I've heard a little bit about yours.
Yeah, mine was definitely, my dad was a comic book guy, but he was very much the Marvel dude. And I appreciated it. He had long boxes full of Spider-Man from basically the beginning of Spider-Man,
Nice.
which was great. Those are basically my inheritance. And they were good, but I never really grew to love them. It wasn't until I saw Justice League and the Bruce Timm Batman and all of that universe that I started falling in love with DC and wanted to know more about these characters. And I would go to comic conventions, actually. I went to SatCon here because it's tiny, and I would just walk around, and I wouldn't even really try to talk to people at first. I would just dig through like the quarter boxes and just grab whatever I could grab. And that's how I found Teen Titans, actually. And it was through that I just went through all the 80s Teen Titans books. And it was so weird to see little 8-year-old me obsessing over George Perez, like 80s Teen Titans. And that was my Teen Titans. And then the cartoon came out and I just gobbled that up. And then from that day, I just really wanted to get into comics. I made a little blog on the Tumblr when Tumblr was so fully functioning, and I would recommend things to people because I realized that it was difficult for people to find comic book shops like Empires, unfortunately. So that was me.
Nice.
It's not really a comic book like Empires anywhere else, I feel like.
No,
Yeah,
I've
not unfortunately.
I found one like Empires, and it's in Las Vegas, so that doesn't help us out at all.
Just a drive.
It's great,
Unless
but
you're in Las Vegas.
if you're in Vegas,
You love
yeah,
it.
Yeah. Stevs.
It was that Arnold? There it is. Yes.
Dylan.
As
I feel like it was almost like we're a Catholic church. Like, and
Oh
also
yeah.
with you.
Also with you.
And also with you.
Also with you.
But we're, Dylan.
Okay.
Go for it.
It was June '82. It was raining.
Oh, God. This story.
It was George Reeves, Christopher Reeve, Michael Keaton. Those were my introductions into the world of comics. Dad watched the old show and recorded them so I could watch them growing up. Had the first 2 Superman movies on VHS recorded illegally, where you have to pause for the commercial and then pause and they're back. I think I missed like a few seconds of footage sometimes. That's what I would watch on a repeat. That's what I knew of superheroes. That's what I knew about comic books. I knew nothing of the books. I owned 4, and that was it. Watched the animated series. That's where I became a Batman fan. Was Batman the animated series right there? Yes.
that's my Batman right there.
And I was the avid comic book movie watcher. I watched all the movies, knowing nothing about the majority of their history.
Antic Fire says you now own 5.
I know.
I bought it for you.
Before the show. I watched all the movies. We saw the entire Dark Knight trilogy in theaters. We saw Iron Man in theaters. That's what I knew. I knew I didn't know everything. I knew I was pretty good at Batman, but that was still basing off just cartoons and media. It was this show that started it. Again, it was a group text message that started this.
Not the one that got us fired.
Not that one. No, not that one. That's a different one. A lot of gifts in that one. A lot of gifts. Anyway, a debate over Iron Man 3, as we've talked about. The staunch defenders of Iron Man 3 right here.
Wasn't the worst.
No, that's what we say.
I liked it.
We enjoyed it.
And it
And
wasn't the worst Iron Man, or it wasn't the worst movie?
Yes.
Oh.
yes, so yeah.
Which one's the worst Iron Man?
I don't even know anymore.
Two.
I enjoy all three of them. Leave me alone.
2.
2.
I agree. Actually.
You lose.
I'd say 2's the weakest.
Black Widow was the only highlight.
You lose.
Exactly. It was great.
You lose. You lose your shoes while you do it.
Spit on the mic.
Losing the shoes. Why is the shoe falling off? I don't get it.
Took the bird.
Sorry. Sam
Don't
Rockwell,
tell me
I'm
how
sorry.
to live.
Sorry. Took his bird. And it was meeting the one to my left here, the doctor, who showed me Marvel
Thugonomics.
when I thought I was just a DC boy, which again, it was Batman and Superman. And he introduces me to the world of Marvel, and I enjoy it thoroughly. He introduces me to Image. We read Six Gun Gorilla.
Oh, that was a good one.
We read Witches.
I've not read 6.
It's so good.
So much fun.
Six Gun Gorilla, Witches. Oh my God.
Kingdom Come.
Kingdom Come, yes.
Can I stop you for a second?
Go for it.
I'm sorry. I just want to point out, like, they're talking about Six Gun Gorilla. I've never read it, and he just asked me. I didn't feel like he was excluding me because I didn't read it, and that's how comics should be. Just because someone hasn't read something, don't be like, oh well, you don't know things. Like,
Yeah.
"Hey, pick it up. Here's my copy. Read it.
Go back to
It's
our
awesome. Let's
old
talk about
episodes.
it." Anyway, continue.
And then I see things like Quentin Tarantino writes a comic called Django Zorro, where the two team up, and I loved that comic. So,
Someone had to.
But that's
Someone
what
had to
comics
love it or
should
write
be.
it.
it was damn good. Leave me alone.
There's something for everyone.
There's something
Yeah.
for everybody.
And this whole new world, as Jasmine and Aladdin would say, was opened up to me. I was
win, Jasmine.
no longer was I intimidated about walking in to a comic book store and thinking that I was going to be like, look at this guy. It's just watching me as I stumble across to the wrong comics.
You're over there looking at the Disney Princess ones.
This is the cool one, right? This is what I was looking for. This one? No, not this one.
Is
Probably
this
a
the
lot of
one with
fun.
Ariel in it, or that's the one right next?
See, but I'm the doofus who would say that proudly out loud. Is this the one with Jasmine? Thank you. But no, I have now. While I did have a bad 2018 when it came to reading comics,
That's okay.
thoroughly enjoy the new world that's been introduced to me as a fan of the heroes, a fan of the non-heroes, or just regular characters, and a fan of writing. It's a new medium of writing that I wasn't aware of before.
Yeah, that's awesome. So for new fans, right off the bat, when we were younger, there might not have been as much. I mean, there was a lot. There was, the Bruce Timm and there. I mean, your dad. Obviously, comics have been around for a while, but there wasn't quite as
what
much.
These books are.
Yeah,
Comic history.
We weren't as inundated as we are right now.
Yeah.
Like right now, if you're a kid, a teen, an adult, like there's something for you in film, television, book. It's crossing so many medias that it's really easy for you to be like, oh, I saw this movie, I'm interested more in that. So it's really a good time to be a new fan because there's so many opportunities to figure out what you like before you come into the comic book store.
But sometimes it's almost too much.
Yes. Which we talked about in our comic book burnout episode.
did, yep.
Because there was, it's sometimes you're so inundated. Like that's why I can't do all the Netflix Marvel shows. Like I don't watch all the DC shows. Just there's so much out there. But it's cool because someone like you, who didn't necessarily have a lot of experience with like Green Arrow, watched the show, loved the show, read the books for a while. You were on it for a while, fell off. Life happens. I get it. But you were able to find it through there. So it's like it's definitely a double-edged sword.
Well, and like today they dropped the trailer for that show movie Polar. It'll be on Netflix. And now when they say based on a graphic novel, I'm now the guy who's like, well, I want to read that graphic novel now. I want to read it.
Yeah.
before
Friend
I
of the show, Mads Mikkelsen.
boom.
I mean, I only shook his hand, but friend of the show.
He's a friend.
Yeah, he's a friend.
But now I'm like,
Now
when
he's
I-
wearing an eye patch.
Now he's wearing an eye patch. When I see
stuff. That's weird. That's
when I see the based on a graphic novel, now I'm like, I want to read that graphic novel before I watch this
and you
movie.
have a resource.
Bingo.
So I like that you brought up the Barnes and Noble and the Amazon, because while we love supporting comic book stores, sometimes you
That's
have
the way to get in.
You have to,
sometimes
yeah.
you have poor experiences. You know, you're looked at as lesser because you're asking questions, because you're a woman, because of all these stupid reasons. And so sometimes you can go in. I mean, Barnes & Noble has a really robust comic book section now, and you can go in and you can be like, oh, cool, like, you know, not necessarily ordered very well, because sometimes people just go in and shuffle everything around, and Barnes & Noble's like, I can't handle all these books. But it can be a good spot to start. But even then, sometimes you're just taking shots in the dark. You're like, I like Batman.
Here?
And you grab Batman.
That one has a 1 on it. That must be the beginning.
Yep.
Sometimes they don't
it
have
is.
ones.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can
What
read.
is Catwoman doing? Don't do that.
What is happening? And it can be tough when you don't have like a resource or someone to go to, and you don't want to invest $15, $20. Like that's. I know I couldn't just be going around to comic book stores like dropping $100.
Why is Dick Grayson wearing the Batman costume? What?
His butt looks great, but I'm confused about where the story came from.
You're confused about a lot more than that.
Everything. Who's Rick? So we're spoiled in that we have a place like Empire's Comics Vault. If you're in the Sacramento area, which this doesn't apply to everyone, but if you're in the Sacramento area, Empire's Comics Vault is always a great place to start. We have a lot of comic book stores in the Sacramento area, but Ben is just so incredibly friendly that you can tell him what you're into. You can say, hey, I really like the Iron Man movies, or hey, I really like Tolkien, or I really like what's the word I'm looking for? Archie, or who are the Solve the Mysteries?
Scooby Gang.
Hardy Boys.
Hardy Boys?
No, but
Nancy Drew.
Thank you, Nancy Drew, who has a comic now.
Yeah.
Who's had a comic for a while. You can come in and Ben's one of those people that you can just spit your interest at him, and he could be like, you know what, I think you're gonna like this, and he can give you something great. But if you don't have that, say you're in an area that doesn't have a comic book store, say you're in an area that has pretentious comic book stores, it can be tough. And all I can really tell you is that there are always people out there who want to share their love for comics. They want to help you find what you'd be interested in. And sometimes it takes some searching. Sometimes you have to find a podcast. Sometimes it's, you just typing something into Google, finding a Facebook group, seeing a random Instagram. That's why I'm really bummed that Tumblr went the direction it did, because Tumblr could be a great resource to find webcomics. And then from there, go on from there. I originally read Nimona when it was a webcomic, and then then it left my brain, and then all of a sudden I saw it in physical form, and that like brought back what I was doing then, going from place to place, trying to figure out what I wanted to read. And while since then she's done cooler stuff, Nimona was still an awesome place to start for a lot of people. Have you read Nimona? I think you would like Nimona.
Okay,
I'll give you my copy.
Okay.
That's what you just said. That's the thing you just said. Yeah, live in action.
It works.
It works.
It works. So I think, as far as new fans, if someone came up to you and said, hey, I want to read comics, what would besides obviously sending them to Empires, because that's the easy answer for us.
Step one, Empires.
Step one, Empires. That's the easy one. There's friendly dogs. There's a friendly guy who owns it. And there's hot sauce. But like Steve's, how would you help out a new fan who wanted to get into comics? If someone came up to you, like at our old place of work, I know there were people that came to you and said, hey, I know you do this show. How would you help them out?
If they're looking for like what comic to break them into.
How would they break into comics? All they've seen is movies.
Okay. I would ask if they're interested in, do you just want to go the superhero route?
I stole the good answer.
Or do you want to go...
Stole the good answer.
Or do you want to go stories that are not just superheroes? Do you want human stories? Do you want...
Anderson looks so...
Am I taking everything? I'm sorry.
That's a great... That's
it's
perfect.
a legitimate question.
Because I'm... For me, the best comic that we've read on our show is still I Kill Giants. I love that comic so much. And that would be one where I'd be like, read this if you want to read something that's not just superheroes. Yeah. This will affect you. Read this. That's what I would say. But I want to know, do you want just heroes? Do you want more than just that?
Yeah. Did you watch the Bruce I'm blanking on names. Did you watch the Batman animated series? Sorry.
Yeah.
And did you like that? Cool. We have a basis for where I can kind of go for you.
Spider-Man, the animated series. Did you enjoy that?
Did you not enjoy those? Like, but you're still interested in it? Like, what have you seen that maybe did or did not catch your eye? Anderson, did you take yours?
Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to start there, but it's always like, well, what prompted you to ask this question? Like, did you finally like, okay, I'm on the Marvel train. I finally went and saw Black Panther, and then I was confused by Infinity War, and I loved Ant-Man and the Wasp. Like, great, let's find the last run of Ant-Man and go and find that because they haven't done it for a couple of years, but there was like a good 6-issue run a little while ago. Let's get you into that, and then you can start diving further into the past or whatever. I only bring that up because Ant-Man and the Wasp is my son's favorite comic book movie right now.
Nice.
So, but like figuring out what they like if they ask me, well, what do you like? I'm like Superman every day, all the time. Let's go find some good stuff. I love Wonder Woman. Let's get you some Wonder Woman. Really love the life of Captain Marvel, which may be even like a really good starting point for somebody who's like, I've never picked up a comic book. I'm like, great, well, there's a Captain Marvel movie coming out, The Life of Captain Marvel, 5 issues. There's definitely history that they reference, but it's a self-contained story that'll launch you into more Captain Marvel. And it's not only a superhero book, it's a book about her personal life and her dealing with that, so there's more to it than just superhero stuff. So like trying to figure out where they're coming from, but there's definitely a lot of good things. Just off the top of my head, I'd be like, oh, you should pick up maybe start with the collected issues, collected behind us, the trades and that kind of stuff of your favorite character, and ask what a good story is there. From Ben or somebody like that. I mean, I definitely, maybe for Batman, The Court of Owls is a good place to start from the New 52. I think the Wonder Woman New 52 is pretty good too, so go back and read that. I was a fan of Miles Morales before the movie, but now because of the movie, pick up that. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff out there. Yeah. And the first issue of that actually does a good does a good job of giving you the history of Miles Morales, so you don't feel like, well, I got to go find the previous run. You can start right where it's at. Sorry, Minnie, go ahead.
No, it's okay. There's so much
Wait, one more thing.
that you want to give new people. You want to be like, here's a lovely platter. Try it.
I'm sorry for overwhelming you.
I will say, if you are someone that all you really know is the Marvel movies, because they're so big and they're so prevalent, and there's one every few months that everyone's going to be talking about, regardless of if it's great or not, and especially if it's great. People are constantly going to be talking about it. And if Iron Man's one of your favorites in that, and you love the Captain America movies, I think a good place to jump on is a series that started in about 2012, but they're in good trade form now. The Avengers Assembled books, specifically Avengers Assembled number 9 is when a writer named Kelly Sue DeConnick came on. And it was every issue is very like one and done. The first couple are a mini story, but they're fun takes on the heroes actually going on mini adventures. Like the first one is Tony Stark and Bruce Banner taking bets against each other to see who can get to this like unnamed bunker first, and like each person takes teams.
Science bros
Bet against each other to see who can get there first. And so like Bruce and Captain America and Spider-Woman go, and Iron Man and Carol's upset that she's with Iron Man. But it's just fun to dynamics like that actually get you involved in it. And it's through that you learn about other characters, and they don't overwhelm you with backstory. Yeah. It's the characters who they are now. And a lot of them look like the actors from the movie. So that's not a really good one.
Nice.
It's not something that's going to be so weird to see why these characters don't look like what you already know.
Like, oh, I can see that's Chris Evans. Got it. I can follow that.
Yeah. Mind you, Captain Marvel doesn't look like Brie Larson yet. I'm sure she will get a little Brie Larson-y later, but it's a good jumping on point.
Brie Larson-y? Is that like
Brie Larson-y,
like Grand Larceny?
Oh,
yep.
Oh, okay.
Nice. Made it weird.
But it's a gift. Yeah, she steals from Diamond and gives to you.
Yeah. I like that.
And so it's a good jumping on point for sure for if Marvel movies were your starting point. You get to know these characters, and then once you read a couple of those, that's a good jumping on point for like comic shops like Empires or any other comic shop. You can say, hey, I've read Avengers Assemble. What else can I read?
Right. Yeah, and I think it. What you had to?
Well, I was going to say, a lot of libraries have comic book sections.
You forgot about that.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're like, well, I don't want to spend money on it until I figure it out. When I lived in Seattle, my library up there had a lot of stuff, and I would just go in and grab it because I didn't have to talk to creepy guys who were going to look down on me.
You just talk to old
check
ladies.
Old ladies who did like
stereotypical old ladies with their glasses on.
Look over the top of the glasses.
And
comic book, huh?
On that point, one, you get access. You don't. I mean, you just have to pay for your library card, and a lot of time library cards are free. But if you check out a book, it does support the creators still. Like every time it's checked out, they do get it. It's like the way like streaming music versus buying a CD. Like it still counts. You know, it still helps the creators. Still the companies still get money. So you're still supporting the creators just by checking out and seeing if you're gonna like it. And I think another important distinction when it comes to newer fans is I've met over the last couple of years, especially like I work at a junior high, and I meet these kids who the way they take in knowledge is like an encyclopedia. Like they can tell me they've never read a comic, but they can tell me so much about comic books from like Wikipedia or something else that they've just like eaten up that information, and so they have like this huge foundation, but they actually read a comic. It's really interesting.
Data.
Like,
they have data.
Yeah, they have so much raw data. Like they can tell me like, oh yeah, like that happened here, but they haven't actually experienced that story, but they know what happens. Like, oh yeah, that happened in Green Arrow issue so and so. Like this happened. I'm like, yeah, but did you see it? And so it depends the type of person. Also, like some people have such a voracious appetite for information that sometimes going the digital route is a better option for them. Like I will always recommend two things. One, Marvel Unlimited, which is it's a subscription service that Marvel does. You can read a ton, not all, but a ton of their comics digitally, and you can literally go back to when Captain America first punched Hitler in the face if you want to. Yeah.
I think it's anything older than 6 months you can get.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, and they've had to like add like a backlog of stuff, but you can go back and you can see you can go back and you can read from its inception, Spider-Man's first appearance, Fantastic Four, the first time they were there. Like you can go back. So if you're really the voracious type, like that kind of thing, where it's like less than $80 a year, that would be perfect for someone like that. Comixology Unlimited is a similar one, but they have a wider range. With Comixology Unlimited, you can get other publishers besides just Marvel. And then DC now with their DC Universe, they've started to add books to that. I know that was more so about their shows and their streaming stuff, but they're adding books to that as well. So if digital is more your cup of tea, I know people that they don't want to have they don't have space for a physical collection. They don't have time to maintain a physical collection. They don't have the money to maintain a physical collection. A lot of times digital can be a good option. You can read Stan Lee's own words, according to Ruhr, which is exactly right. You can go back and read when Stan Lee said, "Punch him in the face, Carol. Punch Hitler."
Your line about how the kids, they know the raw data but didn't actually see it happen. I thought of was Robin Williams in Good Will Hunting, when he tells Matt Damon, you can tell me that Michelangelo painted the Sistine Chapel, but you don't know what it's like to be in the middle and smelling what it smells like there and seeing the actual painting. So it's knowing the knowledge, but then actually seeing the artwork.
Which again, it doesn't. I'm not trying to limit. You're not less of a fan.
No,
because
not
all
at all.
You've read is Wikipedia, but it is such a cool experience.
That's where I start.
Yeah.
Then I delve in
to feel a comic book, to feel it in, especially in older comics, like feel the way the pages feel.
The newsprint.
Yes, it's such a unique experience. That in and of itself, like buy a random 25-cent comic and just open up and just feel it. Just see get that kind of experience. That can just be just as important as anything else. Now, being a new fan can be rough, but being a returning fan can also be pretty difficult, because a returning fan, you have a basis, but you went away for a while and now there's a huge gap in your knowledge.
You missed a year or two.
And
Exactly.
things change.
Exactly. Like if you're a new fan, you can just start with what's current, and you can go back and read the history if you want to, but you're pretty much like, oh, I saw the movies, I read the current run, sweet. Like I'm set there. But a returning fan, you might be like, oh yeah, I was reading New 52, and
Lots changed.
and now and you're like, you gave up on it because it was bad.
We can see why you stopped reading.
Yeah, and now you're like, okay, cool, and you go and pick a Batman, off the shelf right now, and you're like, I have no idea what's going on. So getting back into comics can sometimes be harder than getting into comics.
You already have some sort of preconceived expectation of what they're going to be.
And things could be so incredibly different. Now, getting back into comics, which is what Squiggles originally was asking about, again, knowing the resources, knowing you have, what's the word I'm looking for?
Friends,
allies, libraries, all those things. Friends, allies, libraries. Knowing you have access to libraries, to a place like Barnes and Noble, to a local comic book store, you can know where to start. Maybe you don't have that kind of basis. Maybe it was just comics that someone bought you when you were a kid or something of the like. So knowing who to talk to or where to go can really benefit you, but still you come in and you look at the wall and you're like, where do I even begin? Mm-hmm. So getting back into comics, it helps again to know that question: superhero, not superhero. That's a good like first tester, because you could say, okay, you're not going to like superheroes, sweet, we'll stay away from, Marvel and DC has some stuff that's not superheroes, but they're mainly that. So you'd be like, all right, cool, let's go talk about Image. Let's go talk about Boom or IDW.
Dynamite.
Yep.
IDW could be great if someone's like, oh, I really like, Transformers, or I like G.I. Joes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Star Trek. They do good
Star
stuff.
Trek.
Yeah.
Like they do crossovers with a lot of other stuff.
Lock
so you can
and
always
Key if you're into the horror stories.
Yeah.
Horse.
Oh, Revival for sure.
Oh, Revival is so good. So yeah, so we're just spitting it out, and sometimes it can be overwhelming. So I think getting back into comics again, you need to ask that question of, what did I like? What was I enjoying about comics? Where do I really want to start? And then having somewhere like Empires, having someone like us, it can really benefit you because you can have someone to kind of sift through it with you. Because when you look up on the wall, especially a couple of years ago when there was like 16 different Batman titles going simultaneously.
There's only 15 now,
man.
so they've cut back.
Yeah, they cut back. They've cut back a lot.
He trimmed down that utility belt.
And it can be tough. So to a returning fan, Minnie, I'm going to open it to you first. That way no one steals any answers.
Yep.
Okay.
What would you suggest to a returning fan, whether it's very general or if it's something very specific?
Okay. I'm going to go kind of for the DC fan a little bit. If you were somebody that really loved the Brightest Day, Darkest Night stuff, and there was a lot of stuff that happened in that, and then unfortunately life happened, and then New 52 happened, so you definitely don't want to come back. But there's so many new things.
Wasn't bad.
Agree to disagree.
Agree to disagree. And Catwoman would agree with me on that. But there's a lot of stuff that's happened. There's a lot of new characters that are now very much pivot points for a lot of things. I would say Green Lanterns by Sam Humphries is a very good one to get into. It actually just finished. So you can get trades. A lot of shops still have the runs, so
That's
you can actually get the
Cruz
individual
and,
one. So it's Jessica Cruz and Simon Bays.
Yep, I love that one.
It's two new lanterns, so there's two completely new people that you probably don't know about if you've ended at that point. And you're learning specifically through Jessica's eyes, as she is 100% a newbie Green Lantern. So she doesn't know about the Lantern Corps. She doesn't know about the different colors and what they all interact with each other and how to police. And Simon has been a Lantern for a few years now, but he has a lot of chips on his shoulder being a man of color, and he carries a gun around with him. And so what is that whole issue? And it's very interesting getting their dynamic as they are forced to work together to patrol Earth because Hal Jordan isn't around.
Yep.
So they are the Green Lanterns of Earth Sector. And so that's a great place to jump on for that.
I was really enjoying that story.
Oh, yeah, it's so good. It's so good. Jessica is my favorite Green Lantern. And then something else, if you are into the idea of superheroes but you don't like reading capes and cowls, something that I always recommend to people is GCPD, the Gotham Police Department. It's great if you like crime dramas and crime noir and you kind of like the idea of Batman. It's Batman and Gotham City through the eyes of the police. And you introduce a lot of new characters. You're introduced to like the Teen Titans and like the villains gallery through the idea of all these people who have to sift through the muck of it all. They're people who never get thanked for it. And it's all done in trades. It's Greg Rucka at his best, I would say. And just fantastic jumping on points and fantastic characters. Like Renee Montoya is such a cool character.
Montoya.
And if you follow Montoya through the rest of her DC life, I guess, unfortunately, since they're not using her too much anymore, it's a fantastic place. And if you love Law and Order, this is Law and Order for the superhero fan.
They had Montoya briefly show up when I was still watching Gotham.
Yeah.
They did ever show up, but I remember what happened because season 1 is all I have knowledge of.
Yep.
It was bad.
It was not great with what they did with her.
I know Ramirez was the inspiration. Montoya was the inspiration for Ramirez in the Dark Knight trilogy, but just loosely, didn't follow her actual.
Yeah, I think
arc.
they brought her back in Batwoman after kind of subtly killing her off, and then they were like, "No, just kidding."
No, she's fine.
She's
Just a
okay. She's okay.
She's not dead.
They're
Just a
together.
flesh wound.
Fight, kiss,
Just a flesh
and then that was
wound.
it. And then they ended Batwoman, and it was like, okay, cool, thanks.
Never mind, she's dead.
Got you again.
Yeah. So Green Lanterns and GCPD, fantastic books.
Nice.
Real fast for the chat. We apologize for not seeing anything. I'm on a much smaller screen than normal, and I have a lot on here. I'm trying to work on getting a second display. So if I'm missing, I know Attack 4 you've been saying stuff, and I've missed it. Antic Fire, Rue, I've been missing a lot of what you guys saying. So I apologize profusely.
We have Netflix up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're streaming. We're all about tidying up.
Yeah.
Obsessed with tidying up.
The whole place.
I'm gonna fold the socks anyway. Manderson, getting back into comics.
Yeah,
Someone's come back.
Just first off, like you know the stuff that you liked before, go buy the collected volumes of it, so that you can catch back up. Would be maybe an ideal starting place. I mean, you're going to be sinking a little bit more money in as you pick up 1 or 2 or 3 at a time. But if you want to like really just jump in with what's going on now, I got a few recommendations. So on the DC side, Aquaman issue 43 picked up with a new writer and a new artist, I believe, as well, a new team. And it also picks up a new story where, interestingly enough, you don't necessarily have to know a whole lot of backstory about Aquaman because he has amnesia. So it's a great Aquaman 43.
They did that again.
He has what?
Amnesia. Yeah.
has what?
He has. This is,
All right,
is this like 50 First
Groundhog
Dates
Day.
now?
Moving on.
Groundhog
50
Day.
First Dates. Interesting reference.
Anyway, so I read it. I tried to get an Aquaman a while back and I couldn't. I read this and it's actually fantastic. You should check it out. Wonder
aboard.
Woman.
Permission to come aboard.
Also,
Hey, Manderson.
by the way.
Don't.
Permission to
don't.
come aboard.
Gee. That was like my least favorite part of that movie.
The one-liners were my least favorite part of the movie.
Anyway,
That's a DC staple. Excuse you guys.
It's become.
Wonder Woman issue 59. Again, a new creative team takes over.
G. Willow Wilson.
There's a lot of history, but if you saw the movie, you're going to be familiar with characters. They may not look the way that you think that they should based off of the movie. Etta Candy is a very different character in this, but Steve Trevor, Etta Candy, and of course Wonder Woman are all in this. And Ares shows up in a very interesting way. So they're on issue 61. So there's 59, 60, and 61 because I can count that you would have to grab. Or again, wait till it comes out in a trade so you can get them all together. And Jeff Johns, just one of the DC guys, just started and took over Green Lantern. There were 2 different Green Lantern titles, and now it's just one, and it's following Hal Jordan. And they're 2 issues in, so that's pretty easy to catch up, and it's a monthly. Aquaman's monthly, Green Lantern's is monthly, Wonder Woman is twice a month. On the Marvel side, I just noticed I have a trend with the Marvel side. Miles Morales Spider-Man just started. Issue 2 comes out, I believe, this Wednesday. So you can grab issue 1 and issue 2 this coming Wednesday, read through it. And if you saw the movie and you love the movie, you're going to love this. It gives you a brief, here's the origin story, not too much, doesn't overload you, get right into it. Ironheart.
Yeah.
Another Iron
yeah.
person. She just they finally gave her her own title. She was in Invincible Iron Man, the last run of that. Pretty much exclusively. Tony Stark was in a coma, but she just got her own title. Issue 1 came out in December. The next one doesn't come out until February, so you got time to find it and read it and catch up. Riri Williams, a.k.a. Ironheart, is fantastic.
Agreed.
And then the next one is The Champions, which is kind of like...
It's definitely their Teen Titans.
Yeah, that's the comparison I was going to make. It's
Yeah.
like the Young Avengers, like the teenagers team up. And it includes Miles Morales and Riri Williams, but also has Miss Marvel and the Hulk, who's no longer Braun. He's going by Braun. What's the new Hulk?
Amadeus.
Amadeus.
Oh, where he's like slim.
Yeah.
He's like not quite as thick anymore.
Yeah. He's in it. Nova, who's no longer Nova's in it. Vision. So it's a team up. They just wrapped up a run, taking a break, and they're going to come back, I think, later this month with a whole new run and some new additions to the team. And they introduced a new character in probably about 4 months ago, and they're really going to dive into her backstory, so that looks interesting. Also, if you're not into capes or anything like that, just jump into indie stuff. One of the great things about Image, which is the indie publisher that I pay the most attention to, is they tend to do just short 6-issue stories in a lot of cases. So you can jump in, grab an issue 1 of something, read through it, and if you like it, then just keep going with it. And then when that ends, pick something else up.
And a lot of their first number, not all of them, but a lot of their first trades were for a long time $9.99. So that way you could jump in.
So if they do more than that 6 issue, like East of West or that zombie show, what's that?
Zombie
Walking Dead.
The Strolling Zombie.
The Walking Dead.
Hanging out down the street, zombies dead. Yeah.
The Walking Dead being another one. Birthright, which I'm far behind on.
That's okay.
Paper Girls, like those are
Saga.
all Saga. Yeah, you can all just go in, come into Empires, $100 bill in your hand, pick up the first 10 different Image comics.
That's actually a really good plan. I like it.
Want these pens?
Nice.
Thanks.
I like your style. Yeah, when it comes to especially independent stuff, it can be tough. Marvel and DC are usually very good about staying on like monthly books coming out. They have their moments where stuff gets like, not suspended, but like put off and
They take a break.
They take a break. But independent comics, the thing about them is they're owned by the creators. The writers and the artists usually own those books, and sometimes that can mean really long breaks. Sometimes that can mean some inconsistency in the when it comes out. Sometimes, so it can be tougher to follow some of them. But that being said, if you're returning to comics hiatus, thank you, Antic Fire. I'm glad I have you guys up now so I can see what you're saying. Jason Momoa is made of one-liners. If
that's why his hair's so big.
Exactly, it's just full of one-liners. What's my excuse?
No shirt
and just one-liners. For me, I have a couple of go-tos that I like to suggest. I've learned that with new readers, I don't like a bunch of people are like, oh, you should suggest the classics. You should give them Dark Knight Returns, Watchmen.
Right now.
And I'm like, those are the books that you suggest to people, and 1 out of 5 of them will become comic fans. And you found the person with the severe issues.
You got to build up to that.
Everyone else is going to go away. Not saying those are like, I love those books, but they are not starter books.
Not the bat.
No, like, and that's what a lot of people know. A lot of people are like, oh, I know Watchmen. I read Killing Joke. It's like, okay, cool. Rape issues. I get it.
You know your comics. It's good for you. They don't.
But so I don't like to start with a lot of that stuff because it can be a little intense. Again, depending on where you're at, my go-tos are they're one's on hiatus and one's about to wrap up, and they're really long. But that means you can get the collected volumes. For those of you unaware, trades are a collected paperback, usually of 4 to 6 issues. And
That's exactly how you broke it down to me.
Then they have larger ones like these. They get honking and they get ridiculous, but they can again maybe hold 3 or 4 trades in a collected volume. That being said, Saga is always a go-to because I feel like it has a very large appeal because it's so well written, but it's also not very like you have to know a history. You have to know all about this universe. You have to, you have to love superheroes. Like, no, you could just you can like Korean dramas and you're gonna love it. You can like opera, or not opera, soap opera.
Soap opera.
You can like opera. I mean, I don't know.
You can love romance.
Yeah. You can like the Romeo and Juliet if that's your bag. It's roughly sort of similar.
Your bag.
Sort of.
If it's your satchel.
Situation comedy.
It's a fanny pack. Yeah, it's in there.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
That's definitely in there.
100%. You're like, oh, he kidnapped the prince's son and then murdered everyone. Crowd. I don't think that's anyway. Saga is always a really good. If you're just looking to get into comics, Saga is a really fun one to start out, like non-superhero. East of West that you mentioned is just one of my all-time favorites. It's so incredibly well done. If you like westerns, science fiction, a little bit of steampunk, East of West is also a good spot to start. If you are more traditional, you're like, I like superheroes.
Hey, David, I like superheroes.
Good.
I think man should like superheroes.
Tom King's run on Batman. If you like Batman,
Stop at the wedding.
If you get to issue 50, you might be upset. I haven't gotten a chance to read anything post-wedding yet. But Tom King...
Batman's angry.
Batman, that was doing really well.
Rachel.
If you like Superman, Brian Michael Bendis, you might not know that name, but he's a really good writer. He's writing a lot of good Superman stuff right now. If you are just and you're like, all I know is Batman and Superman, and that's all you want to check out, the good thing is there's so much going on right now that there's a really good chance you're gonna be able to find something that you like.
And don't be afraid if that's what you like. Just like, I like Batman and Superman. Don't be timid about it. They're great.
Yeah.
I mean, they've been around for 75, 80 years.
Some people, like, I'm gonna be honest. I apologize in advance whether you're new or returning. If you go into a store, there might be people that judge you, and those people suck. Like there might be people who don't acknowledge you, who don't believe you, who quiz you about what you like, and you realize they're not trying to find out what you like. They're trying to find out if you're legit.
Make you leave.
Exactly. Like those people, unfortunately, they exist. It's the seedy underbelly of the industry.
Oh my God.
They are not the actual face of the industry. They
Above
are the
my head.
pimples upon our face.
I thought there was something back here.
Oh yeah,
that was spinning.
the bits go above.
Like,
my
what
head.
is going on?
So unfortunately, those people do exist. So there might be times where you come in and people judge you for what you like. Like I said, I apologize. Places like Empires, Alternate Reality, by the way, is the one in Las Vegas.
Okay, there you go.
Super cool, like super cool guy. I love supporting independent creators. Really interesting. Again, you go in him and you say anything, and he's not like, oh, that. He's like, oh, cool. You like that? Great. Like let's see if I have some. Let's see if I have something like it that you'll enjoy. And that's what I really like about Ben. And I can see how it's be really daunting for anyone new or returning to try to get into comic books, just given the stereotypes, but also unfortunately the people who prove the stereotypes accurate sometimes, especially the comic book employees who aren't always the nicest. So I apologize in advance. I feel like I'm being really apologetic more than I'm giving you advice. I'm just like, they suck sometimes. They suck. It'll be okay.
I want you to read. Don't listen to them. I want you to read them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm looking over. I mean, I'm realizing I just forgot. If there's anything you're into, even if it's not necessarily comic book related, like we mentioned, Star Trek, Star Wars, Game of Thrones, Transformers, G.I. Joe,
Ninja Turtles,
Power Rangers. Oh, the Power Rangers
and-
comics right now are so much fun.
Oh, Mighty Morphin is fantastic.
So much fun.
Yeah.
I mean, if you like the Alien movies, like there's so like there are publishers that get deals with the movie and TV. What's the name for those companies?
Product houses,
Studios.
Productions.
Yeah, one of those. They get deals with them, and they'll make comic book versions of their stuff. And there's so much out there, and there's just so much cool stuff. It's a wonderful world, and it can be really intimidating. And we want you to join us all the time.
Join us.
Join us.
In this world of pure imagination.
Unite us.
Yeah.
Unite the clans.
Okay, William Wallace. Is that what I expected you to go? Are we doing this? Or? Dylan. Anyway.
Peace be with you.
We lift up our hearts. Anybody have any other tips for new or returning? Or Tim's in the chat.
Whoa!
Join who, when, and where. Tim, get over here now. Drive up.
Tim.
We might not be here when you get here. I apologize in advance.
Mm-hmm.
Squiggles,
Hey.
if you're in the chat, I'm curious, what do you like so we can actually recommend something
Yeah.
for you since this is your show?
Yeah, it's a really broad question.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's actually fun. I think Squiggles and anyone else that's definitely participating in our chat, like throw in like, what's your favorite book? What's your favorite movie? Like something.
And we can help if you want. We can
Yeah.
help you try to find the books.
Yeah.
And again, if you're just content with the movies, the TV shows, that's totally fine.
Yeah.
They're good. They're popular for a reason.
Yeah, don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Like you're not allowed to judge people's level of fandom. You know, like it's before I had a Packers jersey, was I any less of a Packers fan? I didn't think so.
You
You
had
have
cheese.
hair as elegant as Clay Matthews. hair,
Exactly,
okay?
and Troy Polamalu, and they're my uncles.
Yeah.
They're my football uncles.
I will say, if you are just movies, just TV shows, out of respect, don't then. We said, the people in the comic
It
stores
goes both ways.
They can have their attitudes, and you got to get through that. At the same time, show respect to those who have been here for so long. Don't watch the Dark Knight trilogy and then assume you know everything there is to know about Batman, and then try to tell someone who's been reading comics for 20, 30 years that they're wrong about something about Batman. Yeah. Both of you can enjoy Batman in the different mediums. Yeah. Just it's a balance thing.
Neither of you should be trying to put the other one down.
Exactly.
You know, like when you know all this information about like the production and everything behind the scenes and the script and everything about the movie, like that's super cool. I'm never gonna go down that path. Mm-hmm. And there might be someone who's never gonna read all the books that inspired The Dark Knight, like you did. You both have wonderful knowledge bases there that should be respected.
Exactly.
You know?
There you have it.
Yeah. That's all I got to say about that.
That's all I'm going to say about it.
Yeah. but for Napoli. Huh?
Oh,
Paisan.
Yeah,
All right,
Sicily.
this went a weird way. If you like Dungeons and Dragons, there are Dungeons and Dragons comics.
there, Marlon Wayans.
They are, and we're also playing next week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crusaders and
Who the artist? She's doing D&D comics now.
Tess Fowler.
Tess Fowler's doing. Is that out yet?
It is not out yet.
Okay.
If you follow her Instagram, she has fantastic character designs.
She does a lot for Critical Role.
Yeah, she's a lot for Critical Role. And they're fantastic. So glad that she's gotten stuff now after the situations with her.
Oh, no, that Raccoon
But if you like D&D, actually check out something called Rolled and Told. So what it is, it's different kind of like mini one-shot stories, but on the back you're introduced to these cool characters, and then there's actually character sheets for those characters, and then like a mini dungeon so you can play a one-shot.
Isn't there a new one from The Wicked and Divine, Kieran Gillen? Didn't he do a new comic that they're like building like a tabletop game? Is it it's not Die, is it? No, Die is the.
I don't remember. I don't know.
He's working on one. I'm like, that's such a cool way to connect everything in there. Like, again, if you like video games, we didn't even talk about the fact that the video games, they actually have a really good video game movies are not great.
No.
Video game comics, there've been some pretty cool ones.
Freaking good ones, yeah.
Like I love the way they've expanded a lot of those universes to go into it. You know, there's just so many. Tim loves the Flash. We know
I
that.
can say that more recently the Josh Williamson run on Flash, that was the last thing I remember reading.
Mm-hmm.
That was really good. I enjoyed that very much, and I think that was the Rebirth, I believe.
When he started, when his cop friend got Speed Force.
Yes. So the Rebirth Flash by Williamson, that's a good one to read.
Yeah. I think it can also help to, if you do know a writer or an artist that you enjoy, sometimes, like, we didn't even talk about that. Like, say you don't even have a superhero or a character that you connect with. If you have a writer, you know, if someone like, you know, if you know Kelly Sue DeConnick, like you enjoyed something Kelly Sue DeConnick did, track her down, like Google her and find the other books that she's done. And you're going to hop around through publishers where you're going to find all kinds of great content. Yeah.
If you like J. Michael Straczynski, the creator of Babylon 5, read his Superman, Earth 1, correct? That was the title?
Yes.
Yep.
His Thor run was also
There you
fantastic. He also helped write the Thor movie.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I love Straczynski. He's a great guy. Babylon 5. Mm-hmm. So you need to watch Babylon 5.
I do.
The complete book on script writing made me want to be a script writer, written by him.
Wow.
We're talking about comic books, and you're a little late to the show, but we appreciate you hanging out. So if you're new to comic books, you're returning to comic books, I apologize in advance. There are going to be some people out there who are tools.
But we're not.
We're not.
No.
You can always talk to us if you've got a local comic book store. Like I said, digital might be a good way to go, and the library. Squiggles, we hope we answered your question about how to get into or back into comic books. That is about going to wrap it up for this week's episode.
Good
My
show.
name. Yeah, it was a good show.
Good show.
Yeah.
We're going to talk more about this kind of stuff later on.
Yeah.
My name is, of course, David Barry at DR Barry on varying social media platforms. I am joined this evening, to my right, my brother from a Portuguese mother.
Still awaiting his nomination for Best Screenplay at the Oscars. This is the Azorian one, Anthony Esteves.
has to get made.
Damn it. He's right. He's right. Lobbing it up. Way over.
Hey!
Hey!
I have been Herminia Saucedo. I am also known as Minnie, Earth 76 Estevez. I am at Dame Eggsauce on that there Instaswam, and I'm here representing the Dame Patrol.
There they are.
And next to me,
I am Manderson at Son of Mander on Instagram and Twitter. And like I've mentioned multiple times, if you want more specific direction, just hit us up on the Instagram or Twitter, and we're more than happy to help.
Our handles are there.
Yeah.
They're
Our
all
handles,
right below
our
us.
website. We have a contact us page on our website
Yeah.
where you can reach out if you have questions. Hey, speaking of which, you want to go to the KPlusCrusaders.com, you can get everything because we are the K Plus Crusaders Network. We have a show for all tastes. We have Sunday Coffee with the Azorian where he talks about whatever he wants to talk about.
Whatever.
Movies, music, so on and so forth. We have the K Plus Crusaders, your number one, allegedly, podcast supposedly, for anything comic book related, allegedly in the swamp. We have Crossover, the crossover event you didn't know you needed, where Manderson, great comic book fan, and Danderson, great sports fan, will come together and discuss those two topics. No gatekeeping allowed.
Come together.
And the Dame Patrol. Minnie, I'm going to have you describe it because you guys do it so
Booyah.
well.
yeah, we are a gate-free zone. We are here to help you get into all kinds of things nerdy, whether it be comics, video games, film, cartoon, we are here to welcome you into your journey into the nerd realms.
Gate free. I like that. If you like gates,
Not today.
I mean, we might still have it just because of the draft.
because they're shiny.
Well, that's
They're
a door.
They can
Yeah,
be
that's
shiny.
a
That's a door. We have
The
doors.
window.
We have doors.
Yeah,
Window
we have
doors.
windows as well. Portcullis. Again, medieval.
Well, that's for the Dame sub. Yeah.
Portcullises have holes in them. The wind comes through.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
What are the ones where they're angled where you can shoot air? Anyway, our sponsors, our lovely sponsors, Beard Bomb Brush. We have beards. We have yarn beards. We have hair. They are all natural beeswax, beard balm, beard oil combined. The holidays are over. Now it's time to maintain your beard
In 2019.
through the holiday or through the winter of 2019. Keep it pretty, keep it secret, keep it safe. Use the code Capeless.
right.
Get 15. Keep it right, keep it tight. Get 15% off your purchase. Use the code Capeless. You can also use the code Capeless to get 15% off your dice at the Critical Dice. Say you roll, you play
Yes.
Dungeons & Dragons, you play tabletop, whatever you do, get some dice. Use the code Capeless. Get 15% off.
Because you can never have enough dice.
You can never have
Never.
enough dice. You can also get some hooks and get some other stuff. Promo code Capeless, get 15% off there. Hey, we are also at Empire's Comics Vault, located at 1120 Fulton Avenue,
Sweet K.
There it is in Sacramento. Come on in, talk to Ben. He can help you get started in comics. He can help you get back into comics. He can get you some hot sauce. He can let you play with his dogs. That's not an innuendo. We are the Capeless Crusaders. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for hanging out in the chat. Good night.